Yes, actually, today is about different African countries that do not sound like they are in Africa. A lot of people might not have heard about them yet because they are not common. When you want to hear of African Nations Cup, their name doesn't come out. Musicians, their name doesn't come out. Tourist destination, yeah, some of them you don't hear, but they are actually in Africa. Some of the countries are just beside us, but we don't care or we don't seem to hear about them. So today we are going to see the five African countries that seemed to be out of Africa or countries that nobody talks about. Let's dive in immediately. On the fifth position, we have São Tomé and Principe. How many of you have heard about São Tomé and Principe? If you are a kind of person who studies a lot, yeah, you might have heard about it. São Tomé and Principe is just an island. There are so many islands in the Atlantic Ocean. It's closer to the equator. The countries that are closer to São Tomé and Principe we have Equatorial Guinea, Cameroon, Gabon, somehow Nigeria, but it is right in the ocean. So the capital, as earlier said, is Sao Tome. The population there is just about 230 or 235,000 people. They are just there. A lot of people might not have heard about Sao Tome and the fourth position we have Seychelles. When you hear the word Seychelles, it doesn't really sound African. Seychelles sounds more of Asia, but you'll be surprised that it's actually an African country. It is located in East Africa, precisely in the Indian Ocean, and is made up of about 150 islands. The capital of Seychelles is Victoria. You hardly hear anything about Seychelles, though those tourist people, a lot of people will go there for tourist destination, take it as a tourist destination. But when it comes to other activities like hearing artists from there, football, you hear nothing about Seychelles. Seychelles is just a country. It's one of the best countries in Africa, actually, but a lot of people do not know anything about Seychelles. You will not hear a musician from there, an actor from there, football, anything. You don't hear anything from there, apart from the fact that most people that know, they will take it as their tourist destination. It's just of about 100,000 people. Not so many people are from there, and you don't see people that they are actually from Seychelles. It's a rich country, actually. So go and check about Seychelles. You'll see that that's one of the best African countries, but nobody talks about it. All right, on the third position, we have Eritrea. Eritrea. How many of you have heard about Eritrea? Eritrea is actually a country in East Africa. Some people say it's in the Horn of Africa. So it's bordered with Ethiopia, bordered with Djibouti, though some people might have heard about Djibouti as well. And it's also bordered with the Red Sea. Eritrea is a country that is hardly spoken about. People do not mostly talk about Eritrea. I don't know why, but it's an African country. Most people do not hear about it because you don't hear any musician from there, no movies from there, nothing like football, nothing actually. The capital is actually Asmara, and they have a population of about 3.7 million people. So it's a place where a lot of people are, but you don't hear anything about them. Eritrea is one of the countries in Africa that a lot of people, even Africans, do not know. So do you know about Eritrea, or have you ever heard about Eritrea? If you do not know, go and search. It's a very, very interesting country to know about it. Eritrea, country in Africa. On the second position, it's somehow funny, yes. It's a country that some people might have known, but they do not know that they know. Eswatini. Have you ever heard about Eswatini? Eswatini is actually an African country. It is a landlocked country actually in South Africa, part of it bordering Zimbabwe. And most people know Eswatini as the Kingdom of Eswatini, and it was formerly known as Swaziland. If you might have heard about Swaziland, not Switzerland, no, Swaziland is an African country. So the name Eswatini just came up. I think it's just about 3 to 4 years ago. So a lot of people who knows about it still talk about Eswatini. The capital is Mbabane, if actually I'm pronouncing it well. And they speak English as well. They speak English and Swazi. From Swaziland, they speak a language called Swazi, and they have a population of about 1.3 million people. So it's a big country. It's actually a big country comparatively to the fact that people do not know about it. So Eswatini is one of the countries I can bet that a lot of people have never heard about it. Even Africans, they hardly hear about or they hardly talk about Eswatini or the Kingdom of Eswatini, because it actually sounds like a region or it sounds like a tribe, like a clan actually, like the Habsa tribe, Eswatini tribe, but Eswatini actually is a clan. And then the first one, I can bet you have never heard about this one. I can bet. If you have heard about it, just indicate in the comment section the time you heard about it and what made you to hear about this particular country. The first position we have St. Helena. St. Helena. St. Helena, though some people still consider as British overseas territory, probably because it hasn't gained its independence. Because when you look into the countries of Africa, they do not really talk about St. Helena. But St. Helena is actually a country with a capital, Jamestown. It is the closest country to St. Helena in Africa is Angola. It's right inside the ocean, the Atlantic Ocean. St. Helena is actually an African country. Even the people there, they do not look anything like African. So if you look at it, you may not necessarily know that it's an African country. But St. Helena, one day they might gain independence, but for now, we consider it as an African country. You don't hear anybody going there. You don't hear anybody coming from there. You do not hear any musician or anything coming from St. Helena, but it's actually an African country, though they still consider it as British overseas territory. And if you must have heard about Napoleon Bonaparte, that is where this guy died. Napoleon Bonaparte from France. He actually died in St. Helena here in Africa. If you don't know about St. Helena in Africa, go and do your research. One of the highest countries that nobody, and I can bet that you have not heard about it.